Well, fellas, we're homeward bound at last. Time to suit up.
Finally get to rock these threads.
Wear them with pride.
Yeah. Just hope they still fit.
And welcome back to part 40 of Final Fantasy 15. Today we're finally entering Insomnia to start taking back the throne. And as of this recording, we got our last proper update for Final Fantasy 15 in the form of a video on YouTube talking about what to expect in the future. We're getting a collaboration event in December, which yes, I'll have to do another video for because it's an event. So I won't get to rest after this, which is a crossover with Final Fantasy 14, which I think is actually pretty cool because I've been playing a bit of 14. Comrades is getting a standalone release, so if you wanted to mess around with the multiplayer with like Final Fantasy multiplayer but didn't really want to bother the story, that option's there. And finally, we found out what happened to the DLCs, the final year of DLCs. Unfortunately, it's not all good news. Episode Lunafreya, Aranea and Noctis have been cancelled, so episode Ardyn is the only one that's making it, which will be coming out in March. I don't know when I'll get to it because Devil May Cry 5 comes out in March and I'll really be playing that all the time, but I'll definitely try and get to it as soon as I can when it comes out. And it's to do with the director leaving the team and just he wanted to do episode Ardyn and then call it a day sort of thing. Which is fair enough, I get it, but it's one of those things where it's a bit like, I was kind of looking forward to seeing what they were planning. But that being said, we got another cutscene, so I gotta shut up.
Sweet home.
Yeah, at long last.
What we've been waiting for.
Sure is.
Are you with me?
Of course.
You bet.
Until the very end.
It's time to finish this. Once and for all.
Now in the base version of Final Fantasy 15, the entirety of this section was a straight line down the road, into a tunnel, straight line through the tunnel, back onto the road, straight line to the road, and the final boss, with some enemies on the way. But now, with Royal Edition, they've severely expanded it, and you now get to explore a reasonably large chunk of the Crown City, which I enjoy. It's still not ginormous. Like, when you first look at it, you might be deceived into thinking it's really big, but when you actually fill out the map, you realise it's only about 2 roads and just a lot of alleyways. But they still put in a lot of effort into expanding this area out and making it more of a final area. And the whole time getting little quotes and talks from the rest of the team talking about how much they've improved over the past 10 years. The only real evidence of that improvement are the better weapons that they start with, because the weapons they get starting this chapter are more than likely going to be better than what you have, unless you've really been hunting down through every single quest, every single location and whatnot. Because there are weapons better than what we've got, you're just unlikely to have them now. The only one you might have that's better than what we got is Ultima Weapon, if you'd messed with Sid sooner than I did, and so didn't have to wait 3 in-game days for him to do what he needed to do. Now, if I'd thought ahead, I would have taken a picture of this, because there's a side quest later on where you need pictures of monuments around the map. This is one of them, and I just completely forgot about that you needed that side quest, so didn't bother. But we will be coming back for it. And the way this is going to work, the first part here is going to be all the story beats, with the exception being the final bosses, and then the next part is going to be all the side quest beats. And then, over the weekend, when it comes to Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday parts, that's when we're starting the final bosses. So if you're really stoked for the final bosses, unfortunately you still got to wait till next Monday, but we're getting there. As we absolutely annihilate that mini-boss. I mean, I say that, I don't actually think you have to fight it, but you can run straight past it, but I just decided to fight it anyway, and then eventually went, no, fuck it.
You say that like we've already peaked.
Yeah, we haven't peaked.
We haven't even reached our prime.
That always does that. They never fix that. With Prompto, it says, yeah, we've never even reached our prime. With the English version of it, like, I don't know whether the gap in the coding, like how much time they have to say the line, as my throat dies again. I don't know if the gap just wasn't big enough, but it always cuts him slightly so short. He goes, you haven't even reached our prime. That sort of thing, and it's like, what? Okay. So I do this all the time. I really don't mean to. When I end up sitting in silence, because I'm watching my own footage. Because it's been a while now since I played Final Fantasy 15. Because remember, I mentioned like a month or two ago, back before we fought the Leviathan, that I'd made a huge push to record everything for the game. And so all of this stuff has been recorded quite a while ago now. And so it's not all completely fresh on my mind. I remember this bit though, because they actually quote and reference the fact that they haven't done a cross-chain in 10 years. Which, for a little feature that was added in a free update, it was like a June update, like after the game came out, kind of surprises me that they went out of their way to do. Let's see, they mentions it, and he says, "Oh, I almost forgot about that awful name." But they actually have a like name for, they even have a dialogue set for it for now. That's one of the things I do like. Throughout the updates, they've added more random dialogue lines throughout it. Even like little things that like you might not notice it straight away, but you notice it eventually. Like, oh, at least once in this, you've heard Prompto hum the Final Fantasy victory jingle. But he used to only have one version of that, but they recorded a separate version of him doing a slightly different version of that jingle, with the characters having a slightly different response to it, and added it into the game. Just like they just added it in for the sake of adding it. It's just this game has its problems. It really does. Whether it's Chapter 10, whether it's some of the slowness of 13, or the lack of balance with the ring, or how some of the DLCs feel like they were really important to the main game, like this Royal Edition. The Royal Edition pack that we're now in felt kind of important to the overall plot, and it just wasn't there, and you have to spend 20 quid to get it. Assuming you didn't just buy the Royal Edition like box or the PC version. If you got the PC version, you've got Royal Edition with it anyway. But despite all that stuff, the reason why I didn't mind Let's Playing this and wanted to is because it's got a bigger heart than most of the games I've played this generation. I love the fact that this game tries so damn hard to do something every chance it gets, to impress you, to catch your attention. You can tell it was a passion project. It took them a very long time, and in some areas they were over-ambitious, and some areas probably didn't get as much attention as they could have done, but it's filled to the brim with so much heart that I have nothing but faith for the team with what they do next. It's why, despite all this time past, I am excited for episode Ardyn when that launches in March. Because the game launched in November 2016, and when they're still getting DLC all the way into March 2019. Like they had that much heart and commitment into it to try and expand and add as much as they can. Yeah, we're no longer getting RNA, Luna and Noctis, but that was with the director leaving because he wants to do his own studio and his own thing away from Square. Which is fair enough. Sometimes developers want to go independent, and in some instances it's the best thing for them. Also, I get a summon option here. I can't remember if I take it. I think I do, but it's one of those things where I was like, what? When you're in the city, the only one you can get is Ramu. Or Rama, however you want to pronounce it. And all the gods, when you summon them, have a slightly different aesthetic design on them to show that 10 years have passed. Rama having a much darker colour, with eyes glowing much brighter. Because, slight spoilers, we will be seeing all the deities later on, but we can only use Rama as a summon right now. But then, to be fair, it must have been pretty obvious though. Like, before you get to here, it's going to be pretty obvious that all the deities you've encountered are going to be involved in the grand finale of the game one way or another. So I don't think that's much of a spoiler. And you're going to see me do this a lot as well. I don't actually know if it's quicker, but I use the Ring of the Lucii when I'm warping everywhere, every so often. Because the animation's quicker, but it travels less distance, so I don't actually know if it's quicker than getting around than just throwing the sword. It's probably not, but what can you do? But as we reach up these stairs... Old man Kor's here! He's got a bit of a stubble, with a few greys, and looking a bit more wear and tear on him. But Kor's here, which is really cool as the game like stutters again. Oh, that's the thing. After episode Ardyn, you think it's going to stutter even more? Because we've got at least 2 more updates. Assuming we don't get one from like the minor team, because they have spoken, Square Enix has spoken that the main team that made Final Fantasy 15 are working on their next project, like most of the resources on the next AAA project. Which I assume it's FF16. It might not be, but I'm going to make the assumption it is Final Fantasy 16, because 15 did really well and continued to do very well post-launch. So the only reason they cancelled the extra DLCs was because the director wanted to move on. Which, like I said, I don't blame the guy, because he's working on the game for quite a number of years, and then the game came out, and he's still working on it for another 3 years. Like I can understand. Grow into a fine leader as we play as Gladio. The only reason I did this is because I felt like I hadn't played as the other teammates in quite a while, so I wanted to use them a bit. I wanted to sort of like stretch the limbs out a little bit, because I am aware of, because of how the plot's been structured, it's been 99% the Noctis show recently. Yeah, I'm aware Gladio has been like the second most played character of our lot, then it's probably Prompto, then it's Iggy, but still. Anyway, we've got a lot of talking now, an important cutscene and moments, so I'm gonna have to shut up again.
So, what brought you back to Insomnia?
We wanted to do what we could to make sure everything was in order. For the day the king returned to reclaim his rightful seat on the throne. We're stationed just up ahead. It's just about the only place we have left. Come on. Good news, everyone! Your king has returned!
Highness! I knew you'd come back!
Your Highness, for many moons, we have eagerly awaited the coming of this day.
Brothers and sisters, brave warriors of Lucis, you've done well these 10 years. And I thank you. His sake. Even as the darkness overcame our world, we kept the light alive in our hearts. We've all lost friends and loved ones along the way, but the one thing we never lost was hope. Brothers and sisters, I ask you to stand by me and fight at my side for the light and for the future of our world.
All hail the King of Light!
The Glaives finally got its king.
They're all so happy to have him back.
Yes, but none are happier than us.
Trust me, that scene's a lot more impactful if you've actually spent like the 60 odd hours on Comrades working for this, because it feels like you were a part of working to get Noctis back. It felt like Noctis was talking to you at that bit. I might be like exaggerating it a little bit because it's about how immersed you get to it, but I got immersed with Comrades, and so that scene when Royal Edition finally came around and we got that felt like Noctis saying thank you to me, well, to us, not just the Comrades, not just the Kingsglaives. But so I always have a special place in my heart for that cutscene. It's not my favourite cutscene that Royal Edition added. Oh, we'll get into that a little later on, but it's definitely up there. But now we get our chance to sit back and explore a little bit before we progress on. There's 3 side quests that were added to this Royal Edition upgrade to the DLC, and all 3 of them we will be doing because they're actually quite fun, and whilst being a bit of an insight as to what's happened. One of them is a lore hunt. We are taking pictures of things and clicking on artifacts and whatnot and finding out more about them. One of them is helping Core out, and so of course we want to do that because Core's awesome. And the last one is a reference to Comrades, where you get to help out your character from Comrades, which we'll be doing next time, which is such a badass little treat. if you, like me, spent all that time in Comrades, to then be able to do a mission with your character, with Noctis's crew. It's like a holy shit, it's like being with the big boys. It's like that one time you get to like work with a celebrity sort of thing. It feels so cool and so rewarding for all the effort you have to put into it.
Unfortunately, the demons were too much for us to handle, so I was hoping you might be able to go out and snap some shots in our stead. You wouldn't mind.
And what's also worth mentioning is that every quest here has a slight tie to one of your three buddies. Like this one is a direct reference to Prompto, him being the photographer. Core's one, I believe, is for Gladio, and then the last one, I believe, is for Ignis. When you do them, you get a special accessory for them that's really godly powerful. I'm not going to spoil what they are until we get them, but my word, they're really good. Also, you need to talk to Core anyway, because he gives you the key to progress on once you do, so you have to speak to him anyway. But if we talk to him again, he will explain to us something we can do for him.
Stragglers left. Thought I'd clean 'em up.
They're still Imperial bases. In this Royal Edition update, I'm guessing they felt that people liked the Royal bases, which to be fair, they weren't bad, they was just underused. So they try and jump on that, because there's 3 more Imperial bases exclusive to Royal Edition. You need to speak to Yosef upstairs, which I'd like to think is a reference to Final Fantasy II, but I might be wrong. Because there is a character of the same name in Final Fantasy II, and it might be a reference, it might just be coincidental.
She was hoping you would help her unearth some special machine parts from the city ruins. We've already deployed one of our glaives to the designated area. They're not much for conversation, but rest assured.
Not much for conversation, that's because your character's mute. The only exception being that they go, like they have grunts and whatnot.
Mark the location on your map.
Thank you.
All that's left is to rendezvous with the glaive and begin the operation.
Got it. I'll see what I can do.
That being said, we'll talk to Yosef upstairs probably. I say probably because I'm not 100% sure, but I've got a few minutes left, and I know we don't properly start exploring the Royal Edition's Insomnia yet.
This day, his story lives on as an inspiration to us all.
Yeah. And there's 2 shops here as well for the vending machines. They could have had someone make a shop stand and do it, but I think at this point, if it was a shop stand, I'd be arguing why don't we get it for free if we're saving the world. So having it be a vending machine, I think is the closest we're going to get.
Marshal's Kingsglaive. If ever I can be of service to you, please do not hesitate.
Am I the only one that feels his face doesn't match his voice? Like, do you get what I mean? Like that guy, he had way too young a face to have that deep of a voice.
Pleasure.
Hey Yosef. Hope you don't die like in Final Fantasy 2. And if anyone says, why did you spoil that? It's Final Fantasy 2, the game's nearly 30 years old.
As we speak. You can begin the operation once you rendezvous with him on site.
Roger.
Well,
And I don't get why we have to talk to Yosef after talking to Core, when we could just, you know, talk to Core, and he'd tell us, join us for the Imperial bases. But we've got them done, so you're going to see me save the recording, so there's going to be a cut. And then move on out of here, because we've dawdled around enough time. Well, for enough time now. There is a lift you can get to in the back as well, but to get to that lift you have to find it outside. Which isn't too bad to find, it's just south of your exit point when we exit through the tunnel. You just head south, keep a look around as you go, you'll find it. But where we're going is over here. One of these doors can be opened, one cannot. Well, cannot right now. I believe this one can't be opened right now. Yeah, we need a different key. There is another key on the open map, which once again is also to the south with that lift. You're looking for a subway entrance. But that'll be next time, because we've got a cutscene coming up after one more combat sequence. There's also one more secret that I'll talk about next part, but I don't get to show it off. But I'll probably show it off in a post-game part. And the only reason I don't show it off is because it's kind of pointless. Like, it's kind of just there for the sake of being there. It doesn't actually help as much, or is as cool to use as you might think. But that being said, next time on Final Fantasy 15, we'll explore the Royal Edition's new Insomnia truly, and all its glory, and complete every side quest we can find. But until then, you take care now.
Fashionably late, I see.
Ardyn.
Insomnia, the crowned city of my kingdom. I bid you a warm welcome.
What the hell's he doing?
I've prepared something special for you, Noctis.
What?
Yes, it's the same war your father gave his life to sustain. I thought it might serve as a lovely little reminder of your daddy, dearest. Do you like it?
You're sick.
How could you say that to your own flesh and blood? I'll try to find it in my heart to forgive you by the time you reach the Citadel. My little pet will greet you at the gates.